So let's get started. How can we overcome our failures and continue pursuing our goals if our parents keep reminding us that we failed? For example, I didn't get into med school, but I keep applying and my family is too negative.
He says, "You're shake it off." Shake it off. All right. So obviously, this is a lecture in the. Is this the youth program? Is it considered youth or just a general lecture? All right. So how many parents do we have in the audience? All right. So can you cut it out? See what the kids are going through. The kids are coming to a convention and talking about you to the public. That's what's going through their heads. Like, oh my God, was it my child? Right? But they can't read their minds, right? I mean, we're doing our best, really. I'm a parent, and I'm telling you, mashallah, with 4 children, we're doing our best. But what you can do is talk to them, because that's something that we really did not do with our parents as deeply as we should have. You can say to them, you know, Mom, Dad, every time you remind me of that, it really hurts me. It really hurts me because I really did try as hard as I could. And I really did my best, and Allah only knows what happened in that exam and why the MCAT score was low, or what really went down when I went for the interview. I don't know what happened, but I did try my best. And I just want you to know that as much as you tried your best to raise me, I'm trying my best to be a servant, the best servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That conversation, by the way, was very difficult growing up. Because our parents, I didn't even know what my parents looked like for a long time because we could only see at their feet. Look down. Okay. Don't look at me. Okay, all right, sorry. I don't even recognize you in public, dude. I don't know who you are. I only know you and your ship, mashallah. Or your chapel. You think about drones. Drones were invented in Muslim households. Yeah, those are called ship. The wet ones were the worst, right? Oh my God. So all I'm saying is that do your best. If it's hurting you, then talk to them. And if your parents listening to this know that our words hurt our children. They hurt our children, right? And so you just want to be careful that we don't, it's good to do like the little pinprick to say, hey, remember, keep trying your best. But it's not really helpful because then they go on to get married and they have kids and God help their kids because of how they've been raised, right? Like, Mom and Dad, I just needed a diaper change. Seriously? You failed again? Like, I'm only 7 months old, right? I'm talking from the crib to you. Because of the season it is.
Jazakallah khair. So next question. There's some overlap with this and a few others. How do you know at what point to stop trying? When are the failures meant to be signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to try harder? And when is it a sign that it is not meant for you?
Bismillah. The first thing to keep in mind is that if this question or any question like this is referring to a religious obligation or abandoning a sin, then we keep trying. Right? We keep trying. There are no limits to that. We all know, most of us know the hadith about the man who killed 100 people. Right? And most people will say this hadith seems bizarre because we're referring to a person who killed 100 people. And yet, when he went to the scholar rather than the abid, the pious person who had no knowledge, when he went to the scholar and said, is there any hope for me? He said, who can stop you? Who can prevent you from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So if this is referring to something that is religious, a religious obligation, or a major sin that you're trying to overcome, then there is no limit to keep trying. So shake it off, step up, keep trying, all of that. When it comes to worldly matters, no doubt there is istishara, there's the research phase, and then there is istikhara, there's seeking counsel from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're not sure when a red flag arises, if you're not sure when something extraordinary happens and you're trying to accomplish something, then ask somebody of knowledge, ask somebody of experience, whatever it may be, ask them for their perspective as well. If it's something that is good for you, then definitely keep trying. The example that we gave of the brother who tried 721 times, most people when they hear this, they say that's just beyond this world, 721 times. Most of us would have stopped at 50 or 100 and said, you know what, I give up. I'm demoralized. I can't try because I know I won't succeed. And what's interesting about this is that the shaitan himself is always whispering for us in worldly and in religious matters that you are not able to, you are not strong enough, you won't succeed, you should just give up. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always calls us to try again. Keep trying. If there is something specific, let's say a career decision, if there's something that's taking up significant amount of time, you're making a lot of dua for it, you're putting in all your effort, and it's not working out, then ask somebody for advice, ask a scholar, ask somebody with experience. Perhaps in that situation something extraordinary did arise as a sign of your istikhara, that it's not best to continue with this route. But when we talk about failure in one sense, most people are thinking about personal struggles. Most people are thinking about attempting to change in one facet or another, Wallahu a'lam. And in that case, we keep trying. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh Suleiman. Next question. If a close family member is a Muslim who truly follows Islam and understands what is khair for her, why does she have no hope or confidence in herself after failing a pre-professional exam twice? Second part of the question, how can we encourage her and give her hope without making her upset with our advice?
So she failed the pre-professional exam?
Yeah, she follows Islam and understands what is khair for her, yet she doesn't have hope or confidence after failing, and how can her friends encourage her and give her advice without her getting offended?
I mean, this is difficult because it's a case-by-case basis. Social work, psychology, psychiatry, we often say that we would have to sit with the person and kind of talk to them first to know what's happening with them. But generally speaking, we have to help them and to sort of do self-analysis to say, what was the goal behind that career track? Like, what were you trying to do, right? The pre-professional exam could be for pharmacy, could be for anything, allied health sciences. And so something was driving them to take on that path. If they were unable to manage that content twice, and I'm in social work, so we have I teach at the master's level and the PhD level. The master's level students take a licensure exam after the 2 years of the coursework. And oftentimes it's the same thing. If I fail, then what will I be able to do with my degree because I failed my social work licensure exam? The question always becomes what was the main drive? If the drive is clear, then they should be able to, inshallah, try to figure out alternate routes of accomplishing the same thing. Alternate ways of accomplishing the same thing. Because if the content is really not going through, and there are some issues, maybe they can help them, advise them to take courses that help you to study for these exams, if they haven't done it yet. If after that it doesn't work, then it's a way of saying, my mind is just not wired for that content. I've tried. It's not like I didn't try. And so now that I tried, and I also tried to study and take the exam, and I tried to take those tutoring courses to help me to pass the exam, and I didn't, then it's not a failure of me as a human being, as an individual. It's just that my mind was not wired for that. And so I'm not going to struggle and work through it. How to encourage them and give them hope is basically not to keep asking them about that topic. Because that, I think, causes stress on people. And so to the extent that when they see you coming, they're like, oh my God, there is pre-professional uncle, right? Because that's what you ask about. Oh, mashallah, how are you doing? How's that exam going? They're like, no, right? Can we just talk about the weather? Can we talk about anything else? So if you also bring it up too often, it will also create a sense of resentment in them because all you think about them is that failure. Think of other things. What are they good at? Encourage that, highlight that, and hopefully give them a sense of hope that they are succeeding in other dimensions, especially if they know Islam well and are practicing. That's success. That's success. That shouldn't be Hayyan as-salah and falah are together in the adhan, constantly in the iqamah, because that's life. You pray, get closer to Allah, and then you pray for success. You pray for success, but it may not come in the dimension that you are seeking, right? Again, it's a very general sort of answer because we don't know the context of that particular situation. Allah.
What can you do when fear literally keeps you from even attempting a goal or taking the first steps?
The first thing is, and beyond just the goal itself, the first thing is asking yourself at the foundational level what you believe to be your life purpose. I know this seems like a strange tangent, but exploring who you are, figuring out who you are, helps you later on, helps you inshallah with regards to planning your life out. Because if there is a strong fear of failure, it could be due to a number of causes. It could be due to, Allahu A'lam, previous experiences. It could be due to harsh criticism from people every time you slipped up, from parents every time you slipped up. It could be due to something traumatic, and in that case, there might be need to, maybe perhaps this person requires some counseling, therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's something that is excessive, it is extreme, it is preventing you from taking action altogether, my personal advice, especially since we have many resources today, is to find a Muslim therapist in the community and basically talk through these problems. There's nothing wrong with that. And oftentimes when we talk about mental health, and we talk about whether it's extreme or mild of any scenario or situation, oftentimes people automatically react and they say, you know, it's embarrassing, it's awkward, what will people say, what will my parents think? If your family and the world around us, if we expect that when your body struggles in any way whatsoever, that it's absolutely normal to go to a physician or nutritionist or doctor or to find some relief for your problem, your physical problem, why is the mental state or the mental problem not requiring more attention than that? So if there is any issue anyone is struggling with that is really preventing you and hindering you from anything in life, then find a therapist, a trustworthy therapist, and talk it through. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, it might even be wajib upon you, an obligation upon you, to take care of your health in that way. Wallahu a'lam. And alhamdulillah, we have made progress as a community, you know, in the last decade especially, as a community when it comes to mental health. And of course, there's a lot more progress to be made. Wallahu a'lam.
And just to add to that, I think this is, if we had a conference and, you know, only had these sessions about mental health, and just the idea that we as a Muslim community just went about it in such a terribly wrong way to stigmatize the idea that someone could be having real, actual issues and challenges with their mental well-being. In the social work field, in the research that we do, we found that people are more likely to actually show up at a hospital claiming some physical ailment, because that way nobody would have known that it was actually the mental health issue. You know, some chest pain, you know, and people say, oh God, chest pain, heart attacks, gotta go immediately. And it's actually the chest pain of anxiety, the chest pain of, again, struggling with fear and all of these things. So let us be more encouraging of one another. Let us encourage those who want to go into the fields of counseling and social work and psychology and psychiatry and the health and human services, so that we can have more people trained from our Islamic background. We'll be able to say to them, you do your best, and then turn around, and hold yourself accountable for how well you tried. But the outcome is always in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that one you can't beat yourself over. The outcome is always with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who says in the Quran, when the fall season went and we started winter now, وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا, that not a single leaf falls except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge over it. Not a single leaf. So everything we're doing, Allah knows He has a plan for us. But we really have to get much, much closer to Him and struggle. But mental health and issues of mental health are real. And may Allah bless Sheikh Suleiman for giving that reminder about us getting help when it's needed, inshallah.
Having said that, there is one thing that does apply to a lot of this discussion and the question itself, depending on what was meant, the context of it. There is no doubt whatsoever, even according to secular studies, that people who believe in God, people who have strong faith, people who understand or trust in God, and they know that there is a limited sense of control in terms of their decree, and there is a limited sense of control in terms of their future. And this doesn't mean you can't try, you should not try, but rather that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I have to do my best. Whatever is going to happen, the affairs and all of my worries are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this requires us, even from a theological or spiritual perspective, to study our own theology, to study our own aqidah. When it comes to belief in qadar, when it comes to trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many secular studies time and again have concluded that people who trust in God, people have a strong belief that God is taking care of things. As long as I'm trying, as long as I'm doing what I can, this tends to protect a lot of people from harm in the first place, and this tends to actually help relieve and cure many people of some of their fears, especially when it comes to failure or anxiety or uncertainty of the future. Allah. And so this is a reminder that even theologically, we have to do our part, because even according to secular studies, it is beneficial. Allah.
Jazakumullahu khairan. So there's plenty more questions, but that's all the time we have today, unfortunately, and I hope we all benefited from this.